Welcome one and all to Board Game Coffee's very first unfiltered review. And in this video, we're featuring Gutenberg. We're going to review the hell out of this thing. But before we get to the review, which will be me, Jess, Brittany, and Chris, I'm going to give you a little overview on what Gutenberg's all about. Now, we're going to make this quick so we can get to the review, because in the review, we're going to get into more details on all of this. Okay, so here's the basics. In Gutenberg, every player is running a printing house with the goal of filling more orders than the other players at the table to get more points. But not all orders are equal. For example, this order requires an A and an I, and I could technically fill this with just that A and the I, and I would get 2 coins. Whoopee, not a big deal, no points there. But if I added a blue ink and a gray ink, and that'll earn me an additional 4 points. And on top of that all, if my specializations in my print house were at, like my leatherworking was at level 2, and my, I think that's ink, I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, is level 2 as well, which they are, then I would also fulfill this requirement for refinements, which would get me an additional 3 points. Now altogether, I'd have 2 coins, 4 points, and 3 points. And as a bonus, if I get both of these refinements, if I meet the requirements for both these refinements at the bottom, I also get this bonus award, which in this case is an additional order, which is comprised of 2 cards, like so. There's always the letter portion, and then the refinement portion, which is inks and specialties based on your print house. Now, how you fill those orders is determined on the actions you take on this main board. Now, here's how it goes. When the round starts, everybody's going to make bids on these initiative tracks, and how much you bid on each track will determine your play order in that phase. So for example, if I bid the most, let's say I bid the most in the first phase, which is orders, then I get to pick one of the letter portions of the orders and then one of the refinement portions. So I could choose this and this if I want, whatever one I want, whatever works for me. Mind you, you could only have 4 at any one time in your print house, so in this example, I wouldn't actually be able to take any unless I wanted to destroy one of the ones I had, like just discard them to put new ones, so it's possible. Anyways, that's one action, and again, whoever bid the most goes first. The person who bid the next most goes second, then third, and fourth, and so on. So the person who bids least goes last. And if there's a tie, it's the person that's closest to the first player that goes first. So basically, first player breaks all ties. Now, if you didn't put a bid at all, so let's say I didn't put any cubes in the orders, then I don't just go last, I don't go at all. So it's important. So if you want to go, you have to at least put 1 cube in there, and then you'll get the leftovers at least. Next phase is inks. Same deal. The person who bid the most will get to choose their inks first. Now, how inks are chosen is, if you notice, they're all in kind of groups of 3. So the most you could take is 3 from one group. The first one is always free. As you notice, there's no $sign. If you want to take 2 of them, it's going to cost you $1. But if you want to take all 3 of them, it's going to cost you $3. So you pay for all of it at once. You can't just take the last one. For example, you can't just take this middle one. So, but whatever you leave behind, so say if I just took those 2, somebody else would have to pay 2 coins to get that last one. Then after all the ink is gone, or whoever's taken it has taken it, we move on to the specialties phase. I'm going to bring up my board, just make sure I'm using the right terminology. So we're going to develop our specialties over here. Now, this is simple enough. Somebody's going to pick a card and be like, I want this one, which will increase my leatherworking and inking specialties. Again, I don't know if inking doesn't sound right. But anyways, I would increase each of those stats 1. So my leather would go up 1, and my, let's go with inking, would go up 1. And then this would be discarded. And we go toss in the discard pile, next round, new ones come out. And that kind of goes the same for everything. Everything eventually gets discarded. This whole board will be brand new the next round, except for these cards down here, but we'll get to that in a bit. Now, if you don't want any of these, you can always go up on any track of your choice once. So you either go up on 2 tracks that are depicted on these cards, or go up any track of your choice once. Next, we go down to gears, which they call improving your print house, which is this part. Look how cool this is, right? I can do this all day. So this is a neat portion, because basically you're going to take a gear. Now, in this case, I've already loaded up. But even if I was loaded up, I could take a gear off, discard it, and then I could place a new gear down. So let's say, and I could face it whatever way I want. So let's say I want it that way. Now, at any point during your turn, you can take one of the actions on the side of the gear that's facing this lighted area here, or this light area here. So, for example, if I want to go up on my leatherworking, it seems like all my examples are working out into leatherworking and inking. That was an accident. But anyways, let's say I want to go up leatherworking. I would cover that, and then I would go up one on leatherworking. Now I could do one action from each gear. And then at the next round, the beginning of the next round, all gears, well, we take these off by then, all gears would turn, and then you get a whole new set of actions. And you notice how they don't all turn the same way. So like these two turn clockwise, but this one here turns counterclockwise. So you could plan for that ahead of time. Now, if you don't want to add a gear, another option you could do is you could always just take one of your gears off that you already have, spin it, and just set it to whatever side you want, and then you can use that right away if you want. But you can't do that if you've already used the action on that gear. Just keep that in mind. Alrighty. Next, we move on to the last portion, which is entitled Patronage. So now, in the Patronage section, what you can do depends on what round it is. So for the first two rounds, which is tracked by this black marker. So for the first two rounds, which are indicated here, all you can do is select actions up this track. Now, actually, everybody should have a color token. I'm just going to steal one from my house here. Shouldn't be this one. Everybody should have a color token here, which I just forgot to place on the board. Not a big deal. And then whoever bid the most on that action, whoever has initiative, goes first, and they pick whatever they want. So let's say I want to go up on one of my tracks here. Let's go leather again. Leather's been doing well for us. Or somebody else could pick, maybe 3 coins, or get a new order, or get any 2 inks of their choice. Now, you could only one cube can be on either space. So if I chose 3 coins, nobody else can choose 3 coins this round. Now, as this thing moves down the track, let's say it's track 5. We're on round 5. At the point when you reach round 5, players not only have the option of this, they also have the options of any of these cards that are from round 5 and down. So if you get to here, you'll have the option of all of these. Now what these are kind of like patronage achievements. So any player who has the first initiative can take any of these cards, and they're worth 8 points at the end of the game if they meet the requirements on the card. So if I have two gray inks to give away, or to put back in the bag, and if I have 2 letter A's, which I actually get to keep, I just have to have them, which actually I don't right now, so I couldn't do this. But if I did have 2 gray inks to put back in the bag, which I lose, and 2 A's, which I get to keep, then I get to take this card, and I just keep it on the side. Now, I'm pretty sure you can only do that once per round. And that card will be worth 8 points to me at the end of the game. Now it's gone, nobody else can take that. Yay for me. But again, if other people are looking at the same thing, so you got to kind of keep that in mind. If somebody gets here first and you're both going for the same card, then you're going to lose out unless you have the requirements to meet something else, which do I have this one? I do. No, I don't. I do. So I could have taken this one as well. Not as well, instead, because you could only take one. Now, that's pretty much it. That's your rounds. They're all determined by your initiative track. And I don't know if I've said this already, but if you don't put even a single cube on a track, then you skip that portion of the phase. You skip that phase of the round. Now, at the end of the game, you get scored. You score based on how high your track is, your certain skills, which are indicated here, and your scores are indicated here. Basically, this tells you how to score. So if you get a skill all the way to the top, it's worth 6 points, then 3, then 1, etc. Every patronage card you have is worth 8 points, and every $3 you have at the end, 3 coins you have at the end is worth, it's not dollars, I can't exactly remember what it was, but for every 3 coins you have, you get 1 point. And that's just tracked on the board, and that's it. The person with the highest points wins. Other little things you should know is that there are character abilities that you get to choose at the beginning of the game. Every player is dealt 2 of these characters. They can just flip them over and pick one of their abilities. Everybody has a special ability. This one, for example, allows me to go up, start the game by increasing my 2 of my stats. So I can put 1 stat to level 1 and another stat to level 2. So that means I could put 1 here and then, because everybody starts with 0. So let me get my cube back. So with my stat, I could do 1 there and 1 there. I could choose whichever ones I want. So that would be the benefit. And as you go up this track, not only do you get points when you reach the top, but you also unlock these little bonuses by moving this thing down the track when you hit these little milestones. And they get you free ink, free jobs, free letters, etc. And letters, so you know, the cost of them are, for every letter you have, that's the cost of your next letter. So in this example, I have 6 letters. My next letter would cost 6. So the more letters you have, more expensive it gets. And that's the gist of Gutenberg. So most of your points are going to be by filling orders and meeting these patronage goals or achievements, or you know what I mean. So, because these get you 8 points, and these get you a variety of points depending on how well you fill them out. And I think that's it. Okay, so that is your really quick overview of Gutenberg. Now, let's get to our unfiltered conversation.
Vincent, get back here this instant! Oh,
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first ever Board Game Coffee Review Unfiltered edition. What that means is, if you've seen our reviews before, which we don't do many of them, because they take a lot of work to put together, because they're usually scripted. And that means I usually compose my thoughts, write a script out, make some entertaining content, and edit it for 3 days, and put it out. But
very fun to watch, though.
Yeah, they're fun to watch, but at that rate, we get no videos out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start this unfiltered system, and that is, if you have a comment on that title, please feel free to comment and let us know if you have a better idea than unfiltered. That's what we're going with. Something coffee themed, unscripted, unfiltered.
I
like unfiltered.
Right. The other one I was thinking of was the grind.
I like unfiltered.
I think unfiltered.
Okay, unfiltered is good.
For reviews.
So,
makes sense.
Here's what we did. We just played Gutenberg. That's probably offended a whole...
Yeah.
So many people.
We played Gutenberg.
Good way to start the unfiltered.
Here's what we're going to do. So, we just played the game. So the system is we're going to play the game. And we've played this a few times. Now, it's not always necessarily that we're going to play a bunch of times before. Sometimes it might be a first impression. But I think, on average, I've played this about, 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And twice for Jess. And
2.5.
I'm not sure Chris has ever really been here.
I turned some gears.
He's pushed some things around the board.
Not in last place.
But
all
I'm not exactly
just
sure.
Pointing it out
Yeah.
there.
All right, so we just played it, and just so you know, Brittany won. She crushed us with 125 points. Now, just so you know, Brittany has lost this game plenty. And she gets very angry when she loses.
I do.
So that's it. So, and here's our I have this list of things we're going to, as a group, we're going to discuss in order, and we're going to try not to stray from this list. So I'm going to give you a headline, and then we're going to talk about those things, whether it be components or tactics or etc. Right? And then we're going to discuss that, look at a little round table here, and then we're going to give you a little review on what we think of Gutenberg. Mm-hmm. So clearly, it's got the seal of excellence from Dice Tower, so you know Tom likes it. But
Before we get
Tom's
into
not
that,
here.
though,
What?
I just want to say, not a fan, because Chris beat me.
Yes.
That is the only reason. He is 2 points ahead of me, and that seems wrong.
Yeah, so the final score was Jess with a whopping 95. Chris passed her by 97.
Only reason that's the only reason.
Pass her by 97.
Great game.
No, sorry. You passed her by 97.
Except Chris beat me. And I cannot stand. Cannot stand.
I've got 112, and Brittany's got a big whopping 125.
Yeah, she
did
crushed
really
us all.
well. She crushed.
Yeah.
Crushed us
She did
all.
really well. Okay.
I was matched with her there for a while. I was looking good, but then it was
But-
the back
Sure,
and forth.
Chris.
But we're not
Were
reviewing.
you ever really...
But we're not reviewing how crappy Brittany is as a person.
Ooh. Fighting words. Those are fighting
Oh, I'm
words.
sorry. Did that come out? We've been drinking more than coffee. So, here we go.
Could you tell from the
Okay.
competitiveness?
The first topic, we're going to discuss replayability. So now, how replayable do you guys think this game is?
So I like the fact that you start with different abilities, because I think the abilities really change the strategy on how you play the game.
I agree. That definitely helps.
You mean you're talking about like these character
The
abilities?
character abilities.
'Cause, like,
Because
everybody
like
gets
the way
two-
I played
two of
with
these.
this character versus the way that I played with one of your characters. Very,
Mine,
very
actually.
different.
I think it was mine where you get the start with 1. I
Yeah.
can't get it out. And 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I played completely different with that.
Now, here's the thing. Like, you played with this before, and you said it sucked.
No, that wasn't me.
Yeah, you said you was like,
That was
I don't think this
that
ability
was-
is as good. Yeah, Kayla played with it. And then
She
you played
said
with
she didn't like
Yeah,
it.
she didn't like it, but you said it wasn't that good. You said it was good in the beginning, and then you're like, it wasn't that good. But now you crushed with it. So what I'm saying is that...
I crushed with it the other game too.
No, you crushed. This is the first game you've ever won.
Only because
Close in another game,
Burn.
but we ended up stopping.
I'm just
To
saying.
Yeah.
quote
Oh,
Jess here,
that
the
other
game,
game.
burn.
The other game doesn't matter.
that was the game that I played with this though. And I was in the lead.
I'm just gonna say
Eh.
I've had 2 different ones, and
Yeah.
neither of them helped me. They didn't do great. I don't know if it's me or the tiles.
It's definitely you.
Definitely.
I think it's the tiles. I think it's
Definitely.
the tiles. I have not had great luck.
So, they like myself, like I've tried different characters, and I agree they feel very different when you choose these different abilities. But mind you, there are some of them, like Chris's, which is a one-time use. It activates the beginning of the
Yeah.
game. It gives them a little bonus on this, which
Yeah,
is
that's
nice.
a very different feel than
But it's-
say
it's-
something that's
it's
all
done.
the time.
Done. Yeah.
Like personally, I prefer the abilities where you
Ongoing.
get like an ongoing ability versus like a big boost at the beginning.
Agreed.
Like getting the double gears. Like, I think the first game we played,
I had
I got the one Chris got, and you got the double gears. The first game we played.
Correct. Yeah. The Double
And
Gears was good.
It was.
yeah, double gears was good. But I did. The thing is, I don't think. I would say on average, there is not like the one superior character. But I want to bring it up later in another topic. There is one that seems a little broken, and we'll talk about that later when we get
Slightly.
there.
I wouldn't say completely broken.
No,
but-
not completely.
Yeah.
But there is a little brokenness to it. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So as far as replayability for me, if this game went any longer, I'd say that I probably wouldn't replay this a lot. But because it's easy to digest, you know, like you can set it up easy, the learning is easy, like it's an easy intake.
Easy to
So-
learn, easy to play.
And so like I'll play it again. Mind you, it's like I liked it from the start. First game, I liked it from the start, right? And even though like you're learning, you're like, okay, I get it. Like right away, as soon as you play it, I feel like you get it.
Very quick understanding of this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
But I do feel that there are certain things that feel the same for me as I play. Like there are these patrons at the bottom, which are these cards. If you can see them, they look like this.
Which
And
skyrocketed these two.
At the end.
yeah, so you get
Yes.
like 8 points per of these, and they're like filled up here if you're playing 4-player.
Yeah.
But everybody's kind of like keeping their eyes on these.
Yeah. That's
So
the big battle.
it's like everybody's got a goal to be like, I'm gonna get the next one.
Yeah.
Or one over. You know, that's usually like you can kind of see what people are going for. But I guess that's where you just kind of got to bid more to get there first, because not everybody can get this. It's the person who gets it first.
But you and Brittany obviously had the most. You had 3
Yes.
and she had 4,
We
and
had
you could
0.
see
Yeah.
So
different
Yeah.
spots
They
on
make
the
a big
board.
difference.
And they do make a difference.
They make a
You
huge
jumped
difference.
up 32 points, you jumped up 24 points.
Yeah.
With that in
8
mind,
points,
though,
0 points.
like I took advantage
Just
of
saying.
that, but I also feel like there's no way of catching up.
But we're saying the replayability though. Like let's just focus because
Well,
we're talking
yeah.
we'll talk
Yeah.
more about tactics in a bit. But as far as replayability, I do feel like
That is this one.
I do feel sometimes it can feel a little samey, but I don't mind the sameness of it. It's how can I say? It's like I feel
it's like a good
It's almost
movie
like a
that you can
race.
watch again.
if I could compare it to anything, it would actually maybe even not as much. If we were compared to like replayability of like say something like viticulture, and the reason I compare it to that is the games don't play like a lot at all. But I like viticulture right away. I like this right away. So we played viticulture over and over again. But after like 4 times of playing viticulture, it was like I'm done. It needs an expansion. And then Tuscany, we played Tuscany. It was like wow, that's awesome. This gave me that kind of same feel. Where it's like I liked it right away, and then I played it, and I was like, it feels samey, but it didn't have that same length as viticulture. Like we play it faster, so it's more acceptable of its sameness because it went quick. It was snappy. So.
And I played this twice, and I don't know that I had a different strategy either way, or if I had the same strategy. I feel like it's just like, for playing it twice, it just is like, okay, here's kind of what comes up, and here's what I think is going to benefit me the most. I don't know that I necessarily had the same strategy. It's just like, you're kind of playing for whatever shows up.
I don't feel the naturally, if I break it down, I don't think the strategy is the same for me, because the strategy is like, I'm always trying to, like, everybody's trying to get the letters that they need to fill their cards. But yeah, the strategy is this. It's not the same. Like the strategy's not the same, but your goal is the same. Obviously, it is a board game where we're trying to get these letters, but
finish the orders.
Yeah, we're just trying to finish orders and trying to get them. So I don't have a strategy as like, oh, I'm going to get the A's, or I'm going to get all the orders with the A's, or I'm going to go up this. I am adapting, so I'll give it that. Like I am adapting to what I have, right? Because there's this bidding thing. And based on, and you bid based, your bidding is your initiative. So who goes first on what action depends on how much you bid on that initiative. And I feel like my play is determined by what my position is. So you can't necessarily have, I'd say this, you can't necessarily have one strategy where it's like, I'm going to go after this because somebody else might beat you to it. So then you have to adapt and do something else. If anything's same, it's like everybody's going to try to be going, if somebody who scores well, going for these patron things, that's what you're going to go for. Yeah. So if you know that, if everybody at the table knows that, then everybody's going to be going for that. And that's kind of like a game to get to fill that up.
Given that samey feel, like before we started this game, I even said to you, I said, I already feel like I'm done with the game. Because I've played it 1.5 times. I felt it was very repetitive in the fact that same sequence. But then all of a sudden I started playing it. And as I'm playing, like, oh, I really want to play this game. So I had that same feel like, I don't want to play it. But then once I started getting into it, I was like, oh, wait, now I want that. Okay. Now all of a sudden the game became a whole new game. Not so much a new game, but I got involved again. So it changed my opinion of it as I started to play it. So
that's cool.
It was neat that it kind of changed me on that. Because right off the bat, I was like, it's the same feel.
And I agree. Like it feels familiar, but when you get into it, it's a nice, like...
It is.
It's like a little puzzle you're trying to solve and trying to beat, but it doesn't feel like a huge overarch. Like it's a small, simple thing, quick to learn. Like, let's jump into the next section because we'll get more into. We're breaking into other sections. So I want to talk about aesthetics. For me now, I've been like an art director, a creative director for most of my career, which is like 22 years in the video game industry. Actually, going on 23 now. And I think the aesthetics of this game is excellent. Like how it fits, like the aesthetic and the like. We're gonna work. You know what? We can combo aesthetic and theme together, right? Yeah. Like I think the aesthetics. Like I love these little wooden blocks with the letters and the little details that the letters are backwards.
I love that.
The letters are backwards, so because you flip them, you'd imagine them being like in a print house, and you're setting them up. You're setting your letters up, and then you're gonna. Like roll. I don't know how a print house.
I specialize in printmaking, and you line them up like you would, and then you would press the machine. I appreciate this so much. Like when I saw this game, I was like, I need to play it right away.
I love these. So awesome. I love these wood bits. You know what makes me sad is
the wood bits is what makes it.
Yeah,
really
the wood bits. That's the biggest.
You feel sad when all of a sudden I had to. Did you have to grab it? I had to grab the cardboard A, and I was like. Oh, it's defeated. I said, I want this.
Yeah.
Here, give me that cardboard. Could you pass me that cardboard? Absolutely. Here's one thing. So most of the time you're going to use these cardboard letters. But if people run out of A's, then there's some extra cardboard ones. But I find you don't break into these a lot. But the last game we played, I actually had 2 of these last game we played. But what I don't like about these is these ones. They're blank on one side and this, and what I like to do sometimes when I use them is just to flip them over to just know I was like, okay, I use them, especially when I'm filming multiple orders at once. This has got an A on both sides. It's not a big deal, but this feels lame compared to these. Like, I get it.
It's that print feel with the other ones.
I get it, because you don't always need them, and for like a cost thing, I don't want to pay more so everybody can have wooden letters all the time. Yeah. So most of the time you are playing with the wooden things.
The quality is just like... It's so good.
It is.
Like it's just like you see them, and it's just like the quality is is just so nice with the letters.
I like how all the numbers, even the detail of like the score, like where you see certain printed areas, they're backwards as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the whole
It was the 12. I was like, why am I 21? What's the math on that? Trying to figure it out. Like, wait, no, I'm at 12. What is going on? Yes.
So like, and the little gear, like the gears. If you can pass me those gears, one of those gears. So like, I even like the way the gears look and how they fit on your board.
Yeah, the
and
gears are pretty cool.
And like, I like this print house thing. Like, I don't know if we can see it on the camera. But, like, I'll move this here just to make sure we can see it. But, like, you turn and the gears turn. And I think, that's cool, man. I could just play with this forever.
Yeah.
Like, I like this. I like this mechanic.
Yeah.
All the components just work so well together.
So, as far as, like, feeling like I'm in the theme of, like, a print house,
Absolutely.
I do like this. Like, I like the little details that, like, there's this worn-out look on the cards. I like... Could you pass me one of those boxes? The box. There's tons of these boxes, and you don't have to build them. They come built. And there's little wooden boxes. Well, they're cardboard, but they look wood. And they have, like, icons of what goes in there. Like, the money goes in here. So they're labeled. And if you pass me the big box, if you can see it from the upper camera, it looks like a storage area, like a drawer from a print house. So you got all the little metal plates. You got your tools. And it's pretty, like, it's neat. So I think the aesthetics is top notch.
Yes.
I think they went all the way, like, to get this game to really get that feel of like a print house.
Yeah.
I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nice too because we're playing on the 4-player board, but they also do have the board for different amounts of players. So it's nice that they have the flexibility. So you have the different boards for the different amount of players.
Yeah. I do like that too.
So yeah. So as far as aesthetics, I think top notch.
Yeah.
It brings you into the theme, like theme and aesthetics. It brings you into it. The little details, everything feels like it's correct for the era it's trying to establish here. The look. So I think that's great. So next we're gonna go into tactics, strategy, kind of overall gameplay. And now some of the notes I made here are like, variance. Does the game feel samey, which we kind of covered? Is there runaway leaders? Does the game feel balanced? Is there a dominant strategy? Now, I don't think there's a dominant strategy.
Well,
you kind of
the
touched base
bottom
on
is.
it.
Well, the dominant strategy. Well, the strategy. Yeah, the dominant strategy is things to try to get these patrons.
As many as you can.
But I think that's easy enough for everybody to figure out. Like, okay, that's your target, and everybody tries to aim for that target. Because that's a huge bonus. But you can win without getting a lot of these, and we'll get into that
as long
later.
as it's balanced.
I want to cover. There's one broken thing as far as balancing goes. Like, I don't know how balanced these abilities are.
Mine felt like it wasn't great. Like, mine basically let me...
Yeah.
Because basically you have this bidding
know.
system where you have a certain amount of cubes, kind of depending where you are in the order turn, and you kind of bid on the order you want to be in. And mine basically just let me, once everybody gives their order, it lets me kind of choose if I want to move any of my cubes after to jump up in order. But it kind of feels like in some cases other people's are better. And I
You
chose
didn't
this
use
one
that much.
because I didn't use it that much. And I chose this one because the other one that I got, it's kind of random, but I'd done it before. So I was like, I'm going to try something different.
Yeah.
And
Same reason
I
I
wish
chose
I
mine.
had not.
Yeah.
I wish I'd kind of gone with what I had before just because it seems good.
And just
But-
so you know,
That's what I thought. I had
I
that
don't know.
exact same one, and when I used it,
It didn't
it
seem
was
to
the
help me that
odd
much.
time. And no, it didn't. Because
and
that
when-
one cube doesn't really make
But
that much
maybe
of a
everybody
difference.
feels the same. They
And
don't feel
when-
like theirs helps them that much. I don't know.
and we're just talking about initiative. This is the initiative track, so she gets to move. I don't know if you can see this, if I can bring this in camera. She gets to move a brick from one space to another
But one.
after she sees what everybody else bid. And yeah, these abilities, everybody gets 2 of these at the beginning, and you get to pick whatever ability you want, and then you kind of just slot it in your house. And I did the same thing. I had 2, and I chose one like I've never used before. Now, I've got this one before, and I've thrown it away. And I found that mine was handy. But unlike games like, say, Tapestry from like Stonemaier games, that game I found like there were similar abilities that were like overpowered, unbalanced. Like I felt there was certain, like, I think we played a game, I can't remember what, it was a while. But I was like, your ability is kind of like the same as mine, but yours is better because it's easier to do. But in this game, I don't know if... how much I can speak to being balanced. I think that, yeah, there might be something I like better than others, but I think it might also be situational, where like this might be better based on how everybody else played.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't honestly know like how much everybody else used their abilities.
I
I just felt like when I did mine, it didn't seem that helpful, but I wasn't really paying attention to everyone else's to see if they also felt that they were using theirs a lot.
Like, I want to say that would probably work really well with someone like Mark, because Mark's very good at reading other people and what they're going to put in situations. So he could be that person that kind of mitigates, okay, you're going to be this, I'm going to play just that one blow it so I can change it if I want. I feel that's more a position that you would play, because you can control that, where someone else, not so much.
Speaking of positions, leaning toward Brittany, I want to make sure you're on camera. I don't want to cut you off. So, there are, now this is where I want to take this up. I'll bring this up. So, and again, I do think there are certain abilities, like when Kayla had this, Kayla had yours, she didn't do much with it.
No.
Right? We've played games where people have had that one, they didn't do much with it. That one, Chris, you came in second last. When I played that against Brittany, I won. And it just kind of, it worked out the choices I made based on what came on board. Now, here is one. Now, this one came up, and this was under conflict of, like, is it OP?
This made Brittany ragey.
If it's combined with another one, it can be very, very powerful.
So, and I read the rules to make sure I played this right.
But then again, it's all due to chance.
It is kind of those things. It depends what comes out.
Well, here's what happened. This actually can come up fairly often because it came up twice in this game.
I had one.
She has one, and I have one. Now, it's this ability here.
So
oh, you have one, so 3 people have them.
Right here.
And I think it came up again where nobody took it. So it comes up a lot.
It's this thing in this ability on the gear where it says you get points equal to the current round. Right? So normally it's not a big deal because you don't get it all the time. Because you turn it and you be like, okay, I get 3 rounds, and then you turn your gear, but then you don't have it for the next one, you don't have it for the next one, but then you don't have it for that one. But here's the thing. If you use it for, like, say here, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get 3 points, turn it, and you get here. Next round, if you don't take a gear, you can use the ability where you just lift your gear, spin it, and set it down again to get 4 points. And then you can do it again next round to get 5, and you get 6. So basically, here's the thing. I had this, and once I had this, I never picked up another gear. It was my 3rd gear. And I just kept using this ability to pick up this gear, reset it, so I could always use that ability and get the points for that round. And on top of that, I had this person's ability, which is I can use any side of my gear twice. So I was getting 6 points, 8 points, 10 points, 12 points.
For doing nothing.
Not nothing. Being skillful. But
by
just
not choosing
good.
a gear.
Yeah, not choosing a gear and using that ability over and over again. And Brittany was knocking it out to getting these things. But here's the thing. At 6 points, the card was a better choice. But after that, 8 points, equal. Then 10 points is better. And then 12 points is better. So it's better to do these than me trying to hunt these down. So yeah, I might have not been using the rest of the abilities on this gear. But I was using the rest of the abilities on my other gear. And I was getting 2 times on this. And here's the thing. Even though you're using one side 2 times, I can't use all the other gears. I can still only use 3 actions. So I could only ever use one of the gear. But it wasn't a big deal. My other gears weren't such a big deal. So I just used this one twice, and then I used one of my other gears once to get an anchor, whatever it is. But this did give me a huge advantage because I didn't have to chase these. But at the same time, Chris brought this point up. Brittany was close behind chasing the orders. So it wasn't out of the question.
It wasn't like crazy around the board. You locked us.
It wasn't that much of a difference in points. It's just like
it felt like you weren't trying and you were getting these massive points, and we're all struggling to get like 8 points.
I think this one is probably one of the more powerful ones.
Well, especially if you get it in conjunction with this.
And it's easy to get this one.
Yes. It is.
It comes up a lot.
We, I think, all had it.
Yeah.
Except for Chris.
Well, yeah, it's Chris.
And there was like an extra one here. So he could have had it.
Yeah, he could have. But yeah, that's Chris.
I focused on my letters. On my letters.
You did have a lot of letters.
Different strategies. I can't say anything. I was last. Every game I was last.
Thank goodness. That's really bad.
My strategy is really bad for this game.
So as far as the tactics, as far as the term of runaway leaders, I do think we reach a point in the game where Brittany's got this.
right?
Yeah, we did see that. We did see
like-
that coming.
I
Brittany's
do
got
want to
it.
say, we played a game, but like you, I, and Brittany, and we ended up not finishing it. But I'm pretty sure Brittany would have won.
We don't know
So
that
I
for sure.
just,
Thank you, Jess.
I
That's
just
on
want to
camera.
say, Brittany does seem to do well at this game. So whatever strategy she has,
Keep in mind, Brittany's only...
getting
she's-
these
Jess says that, Brittany's
seems
only
to
won once.
be a pretty good strategy.
Brittany's only won once. I'm just saying.
Officially once.
Officially once.
Because he ended the game.
No,
But that's,
no,
we're not here for that.
You know what? Let's cover that. No, because Jess had to leave, so we had ended a game with 1 round to go. Jess had to go. So me and Brittany were like, we're going to continue this game. We're just going to both play Jess's character. And I was like, we're going to do it randomly. But we didn't get a chance to because somebody's family, not my family, came over for dinner and we had to clean up the table. That's not on
Your
me.
family.
I do
That's
think
not on
Brittany would
me.
have won.
Our family.
I think Mark was going to get a comeback.
I don't think so.
So I'm not feeling it. So anyways, that's that.
All I know, Jess would have lost. Not
So
doing great.
like, I do feel like the game can
Not
get.
a Jess game.
I do feel like the game can get close, but once you see somebody getting a lot of like
Those in
these
the background?
these
Yeah.
cards,
It makes
like
it
Brittany
hard
had
to catch
4,
up.
I was like, well, each one of those she gets 8 points. So I was like, no, she's 8 points ahead, and like even though I was behind, like keep in mind for most of the game,
You and I were.
You had 3 of them. She had
no,
4, but you had 3.
yeah, I had 3, and I was in last place for a big chunk of the game. Brittany was the head most of the game,
And I was right
and
with
Chris
her,
was right
but
behind her.
I had none of those cards. So
She
it
had
was
none.
like automatically
I had
I was
one.
doing good, but that meant
That's
nothing.
all I got at the very end of the game.
So I jumped ahead because of these. Like these are a great thing, but it's. But then again, there's a runaway leader. But if you commit and you bid more of your initiative tokens on that to
it could have
get
been
that,
balanced.
then you could take that.
And
So
that comes back
I
to
I don't
dice
think
towers.
I don't think the runaway leader is like crazy out of control. But we did at this point.
You can see.
Like I think by round 4. I think by round 4
Yeah.
we were like, Brittany's got this.
Yeah.
Because she had she had it going, she had her skills up, and you were like, well, she's gonna get those cards. So like, I can try to bid a lot on that, but she ended up bidding more. You know what I mean? I was like,
It does feel like by a certain point of the game, if you're not at, I guess, comparable to like other people for certain areas, that it's just like you're just kind of like, well, I'm gonna keep playing, but like my chances aren't great.
Yeah.
Like it's just
There's
kind of
no
like
way to save
I'm
yourself.
gonna keep playing, but like I'm not gonna win.
But I do think that's because of like Brittany's moves. Like on average, I think the game seems pretty balanced. Other than like, I think this one was a little broken. Even though I took advantage of that at one time, we actually pulled this one out of this game.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of hate toward this one, so I just pulled it out. So it didn't come up as a random option. And because if I got that, then there would be a lot of hate if I did it
There'd
again.
be so much rage right now during this review.
So it'd be better. So we just
Tables
took-
moving
Not at the
flush.
game, but at Mark.
So yeah. So if you guys
It's
feel
reasonable.
like I can see people like having this, finding that unbalanced, and just pulling that out as an option. I think that might be a little OP. Maybe maybe it's just the way we play.
I wouldn't completely say it's broken with that
No.
one, but it definitely gives a huge advantage.
Depending how you play it, it definitely could.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go into player interaction. Do you feel like there's a lot of player interaction? Like,
Yes.
do you feel like there's a lot of... I think
Well, I think like
Go ahead.
your decisions are based on what everybody else does. So you don't always have the option to go first because maybe you lost the bidding round. So you have to adapt based on what everyone else is doing. And then you're also reading everybody else and trying to take a look at like what are they going to bid on.
You definitely get both aspects of that because the initial auction round where you're bidding, you have no idea. So it's all on you. But then once that's done, then it becomes, okay, what everyone else has.
And that was kind of the benefit of this ability, is basically you can see how everybody else is voting, and if you're like, there's one thing I really want and I'm really close, you could just move one of your cubes to win.
Yeah.
So like that is a benefit, but you really do have to decide once you can kind of see kind of what's on the board, like what you want and what you think everybody else is going to want.
I find...
I think with that one would be better is if you could move however many cubes you want.
Because it's only one.
That'd be
One-
a little OP
That would
though.
be a
Then
lot.
she would win
Yes
all
and
of
no,
them.
because at the same time, if you're stuck being last person, you can move, say, 4 years, but now you're losing on the other ones. You may
There's no
win that
losing on
one.
them. She has 10. She can pick whatever one she wants and be like...
If it was...
I think
the-
moving all of them is OP.
That's a lot.
I think
But like,
3 then. But 1 I think is not enough. all is maybe too many. But there's got to be that. It's got to be bumped up a little bit, I think, for that one.
The thing is, like, as far as player interaction, like the blind bidding plays a huge part in the game, right?
For sure.
So it's like this is where you can really affect other players. But I feel like I'm not directly doing anything to you. The whole game is me denying things from you, right? So like I outbid you. So that means if I outbid you on that initiative track, then I get to take that action first. And I can take things away from you. But honestly, the way I played this game, I'm more focused on my strategy, not so much taking away from you. So a lot of, if I've ever screwed you, it's more like it's not on purpose.
Lies.
It's a side effect of what
Sure.
I want to achieve.
There was a blue, and you decided to take the one that I wanted.
No, it was
Yes.
first of all, it was a gray. It was not a spite. I took it without looking at you because there was more options. So I was like, I'm gonna take the one that gives you more options, not you specifically. I'd actually look at what you had needed.
I do want to say a lot of times it's like I'm bidding to get what I want.
Yeah.
I very little look. If there were less players, I probably would pay more attention.
Yeah.
But I spent very little time looking at what other people wanted and more time looking at what I wanted. Where
agreed.
I feel like when we played a 3-player game, I more paid attention to what people wanted and what I wanted. Because I'm like, okay, this is what I want, but how can I also kind of screw other people over?
Yeah.
Where with 4 players, I'm like, what do I want?
Yeah.
Less time spent paying attention to what other people want.
I found the only thing I really checked if you wanted was the last, the patron orders. Because I'm like, oh, if I want this one and they require like 4 ink, I was like, who has 4 ink? And I'm looking, I was like, okay, Brittany has it, so maybe might be going up against Brittany. I don't know, so I'll pay more to get dibs on that, so I get to go first.
And I spent very little attention, I feel like, on this, but I'm also like last place. So
But you also climbed
probably
pretty high.
not the greatest, but like I have one that's low. Like I feel like I should have in both games. Like I felt like I played. I felt like I struggled more to get this up, where it feels like everybody else didn't have that problem.
I think we're better than you.
I think you're better than me.
so
I think that's what it is.
She was last!
I am last.
We can
And,
say
like,
that right
see?
now.
See? Bad strategy.
Facts!
That's
Facts.
awesome.
That's what I proven out. That I did not do great here, and I feel like I could have done better.
So yeah, so the player interaction is not direct. It's not like I'm doing this and like screwing over Brittany. It's like I'm trying to deny people
And
things.
if I screw somebody over,
Well, I want to say last time we were
Benefit.
playing, I want to say there's a couple times where you almost knew what I was going to get, and you did intentionally screw me over. I'm just saying.
I
was
think
it just the two of
Sounds
you?
like
Because
a
that's
marketing.
probably
I
intentional.
think what Jess said is correct. Where like smaller counts is easier. When so many people, I'm not. The more people there are, the lower on the track I focus. It's like 4 people, I'm just focusing on the Patreon track. 2 people, then I might worry about as far as like the ink. Like what
That's
inks do you
interesting
need?
because I've been looking at all of your cards this whole time to try to
I have
figure out
not.
what you were doing
And
so that I
Bad
could.
strategy.
And you know, fun. We got to be open. We've been drinking this whole time.
I have not. Been.
Brittany's the most sober
I
one
haven't
here.
been. And I have been
Hey,
very
what?
much
Isn't it
focused
strange?
on my own game.
We've all been drinking. Brittany's the one that won. She's
Interesting.
She's sober.
Interesting.
This is a sober person's game.
I mean, I've totally been drinking.
So-
I'm totally sober right
is
now.
So the next topic is game length. Does it feel too long? Is it?
No, I want to say the game like this
Feels good.
pretty on cue. Like I haven't had a game where like this is taking a while. I want to say it ends kind of just when you're like, I'm done
You
playing.
know what? I think we play a lot of long games, or we
Yes.
tend to, even if it's not a long game, we tend to make short games long.
We make it.
We do.
We
It
totally do.
happens.
We do.
Totally do.
But I think this game's a great length. I think it's not too long. It's not too short. You play it. It can go snappy, as snappy as you want, and then it's like, oh, it's done. Enough that you're like, I'm ready to play another game. Like it doesn't have to be this game again.
Yeah.
It can be another game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's not. It's definitely bigger than a filler game. It's not a filler game. It's like
Yeah,
a full.
I know.
Like you can be like, hey,
You
come
can have
over.
this game night.
You can come over. Let's play Gutenberg. And you can play one game. You can play 2 games back to back. No problem. Because I think the game like this is good. So for me, I think it's a great game.
I agree.
Especially for how light it is. You know, like I think if a game is too light and it drags on too long, it feels like it's boring. Or if it's, if it's too heavy and you want to get your strategy going and games run too quick. You guys have been there where you're like, I want one more turn. I want one more turn. But the Gaia Project, right? You like you always want one more turn. But this game
Prime
feels
example.
This game, I feel like I
It's
get the
fair.
right amount of turns.
Yeah.
And it feels like it moves pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like everybody kind of has their vote and then they reveal it and you kind of go in order based on what you voted on. But once somebody goes and they choose what they want, even if they choose what you want, it's pretty quick. Like, you like take something and the next person goes, the next person goes. It doesn't
not a lot
feel
of
like you're
waiting.
waiting a lot for someone else to go.
Which is
Unless you're playing smart.
I think
He's
it
so
helps.
slow.
I think it helps how the game is organized. Shut up. Shoot your face. Shoot your face. I think it helps how the game's organized. Like your initiative tracks
I
are
like that.
match your board. So you're like, okay, that track is that.
You
That
don't even
action
have
is
to
that
think about
action.
it.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I'm just go down the track and it's like the first person's
It's
probably
just easy.
the first person's the slowest because they have the most options. But if
Yeah.
well, actually, probably the second person's the slowest because the first person.
They know what they want.
Yeah, they got what they wanted, so like boom, boom. The second person's like, okay, now I got to deal with what's left,
Yeah.
and they took what I
You
wanted.
screwed me over. What do I want
Yeah,
now?
but I think the length is good. Okay, now learning. Now I read the rule book for this, and I found I read the rule book, but I watched it how to play, and for a person that watched it,
We did a little quick.
we did a little quick demo at Gen Con.
Yep.
And I found I was like, yeah, I get the gist.
Yep.
But when I got this game home, I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch how to play. So I watched Rodney's how to play, and usually as a person who makes how to play videos, I don't learn well watching how to play videos. I learn more by reading the books. That's my deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched Rodney's and I was like, I think I got this, like just from watching. So it's easy enough to convey that a person who's not into watching how to play videos can watch that and be like, oh, okay, I got it. But I read the rule book anyways, because that's my thing. And I think the rule book is super well written. Like, I had no questions. Like, if you read the rule book from beginning to end, it answers all your questions. There are little sidebar notes that they have in, like, these brown boxes are very clear. And they're like, if you have any questions when you're reading the rules, you read the little sidebar things, you're like, oh, that's the question I had. So I think they do a really good job of, like, answering all your questions reading the rule book. Mm-hmm. And I found teaching it was simple enough, but as you guys have to speak to this, as learning it, because I taught it to you guys, how did you think it was learning this game?
I want to say it was easy. Like, even just doing when we did the Gen Con, that it was very easy to learn. The only thing was that one rule, where it became when you fulfilled the order, it was fulfill the order, done. You can't use the stuff from the rewards.
Yeah, you fill all your orders at once.
Yeah, that was the only rule that we
did that wrong. Yeah, we did
Yes.
that wrong the first time. And that was because that wasn't the rule book's fault. That was my fault for like skimming through because I was like, yeah, seems clear. This is good. And this is what so I misunderstood that because I read one part that said you could do this anytime. So I was like, okay, I can do that anytime. But then if you read the little brown box, the little note, it says that you have to fill all your orders at once. I was like, okay, then I can do it all the time, but all my orders are filled at once, so I can't use my reward from one order to fulfill another. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of part we kind of messed up.
I think that was the only thing that really became, but
as
far as learning.
It's one of those things that everybody did it, so as long as everybody was cheating, it was fine. But we've corrected that, and we've played it correct since.
I want to say it was pretty easy to learn.
Yeah.
For me, I think it was pretty easy to learn. There was I would think the first time that we played the first round, I kind of was a little overwhelmed by all the icons and like the symbols because I just didn't know what they were. I didn't read the book. I was just kind of going off this, and I, forgot about a couple things on here, and then these wheels kind of intimidated me, so I went with like the safe options.
Because you couldn't line them up properly?
I think it's that too. I have a problem with lining them up. I don't know what it is. But like the symbols for me, I got overwhelmed and probably didn't take advantage of some of the symbols at the time because I didn't know what they meant. So I was just like, oh, I'll get an ink.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
But then it's super easy once you play it.
First game, it's like
once you play it and you see it played and you look in the book and you get the icons, then you're like, oh, this all makes sense. It's all very consistent. It's actually done very, very well. Mm-hmm. I think it was just me kind of like rushing it.
I agree though with you. Like first learning it, I think you taught it to us like in half an hour.
Yeah.
But really, it's just getting used to what the symbols actually mean. Like I feel like when we first played the first time, I had to like ask you a couple times, be like, okay, what does this symbol mean?
Yeah.
You kind of get that one game out once that game's out.
Yeah, once that game's done, then you're good. And like we played that probably 2 weeks ago, and then we played again, and like you remember it well
Yeah.
enough that it's like, okay, we played it 2 weeks ago, and then we're playing it now, and I still remember it.
Well, one
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
one thing you gotta know is like a lot of symbols, a lot of things are repeated, and I found the hardest one for people to understand is this one, which is like those brackets are orders, and so it's like if you fulfilled an order that and you fulfilled the I guess leather binding requirement of that order, you get a bonus 2 points. So we see it in brackets, it means you need to fulfill an order, that part of the order.
Yeah.
And then you see it here in the blue. So it's the same thing. It's like if you have
Yeah.
one with blue ink, you get 2 points. If you get one
you
with
get it after a while.
yellow ink, it's repeated over and over again. So you just got to
And there's
understand
a
that
cheat
one.
sheet,
Yeah, there's a
but
cheat
I
sheet.
still
I'm
felt
just saying, I
overwhelmed
have
by
one
the cheat
here.
sheet.
I'm pretty sure I miscounted and I won over Chris. I'm just saying. Probably happened. Probably that's what happened. And that's
Maybe.
why I was not last.
Here, just for this video,
We're
gonna
just
say
gonna
you
bump
beat me.
up.
Done.
I'm
If
just
it makes you
kidding.
feel better.
100% I lost this game.
As long as we have that on for you.
So yeah, I'm gonna turn. Okay, so learning. So easy game, easy enough to learn,
Pretty easy to learn, yeah.
and the strategy is easy enough to pick up. Like I think you might like.
I like this, there were steps.
Yeah.
It's like you do
clear
this, you do
steps.
this, you do this, you do
It's
this.
clean. It's easy.
it's
You don't
just-
have to think about it. You're never
I missed one.
forgetting.
This,
Mhm.
this,
Which I really
this,
like.
and this.
Like you're not going back and being like, oh my gosh, we forgot an entire area.
Yeah.
You go.
And you're not.
through
Your brain's not
Look at
over.
this.
You're like, it's very organized. Like boom,
I
boom,
really
boom,
like
boom,
it.
boom.
Yeah.
This I find especially helps.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because you're looking at how everybody has things ordered. So even if you were looking at this board, you can't miss anything because you're going
You're
through
going
how
through.
everybody
Unless you're like
has been.
Britain, oh, I forgot 2 points on this one.
I forgot to
4
spin.
points on this
Three
one.
three turns ago, I forgot to spin. So I'm just gonna spin this 3
That was
times.
one game,
I'm
guys.
just gonna just spin this, and I forgot to take my. Jess, did you give me $12? I forgot to take $12.
That is so
And this
exaggerating.
And then yeah, 'cause I'm pretty sure I had like
I
6
didn't
more letters.
do that in this
Glad
game.
we're all in the
You
same
did not.
page.
You won this game legitimately.
Thank you.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I lost this game
We
legitimately.
gotta hear
You can put me back.
if
2 behind Chris.
if anybody's got a reputation, Britt is the take back queen.
I don't know what that
Yeah.
means.
No.
Take back queen is like 3 turns ago. I forgot to do this. Do you mind if I do this? I'm gonna just do that.
Oh,
That's
that,
fair.
yeah, that's
Oh,
fair.
I was like, oh no. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. That's
That's
fine.
I thought you meant takes back, like, do the turn and then decide not to do that turn, take it all back and make people stop.
No, it's like,
No.
oh, 3 turns
It's
ago,
more like
I forgot to
the
do
symbol.
this,
Yeah.
whether it happened or not.
I forgot
I
a
just
million
want to
points.
state that all of you have done it before as well. So I'm not the only one that does that.
If you're,
Are you kidding me? You were complaining about the U. We won't get into it.
No,
We're
let's
not
not
here
get
for
into
that.
it. Okay. So,
Mistakes were made throughout the game. Let's
Alright.
just say that.
so we're getting close to the end here. Did you enjoy the game? This is our fun category. So, did you enjoy the game overall?
I like this game.
I think it's fun. I think it's easy enough that you can just like play it, enjoy it, have different strategy. You could play it a couple times and have different strategies throughout.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's competitive, but you can kind of also do your own thing, and it's
Yeah.
not like so competitive that it's just like you're end the game and you're just like, I want to flip the table and I'm so angry. Like it's just like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
Because I felt that I lost and it was fun.
Yeah, I like this game. So I like playing it, and it's not like because of the short time. There's not so much of an investment in it where I like tax my brain and then just to lose to Brittany, I'll be like
So angry.
But like there's a quick enough turnaround. There's like I enjoy it. I know it because it's easy to learn. You get points quickly, so you're getting rewarded, and that's appeasing.
I also feel it's light enough that you can still have like a strategy going on and then still carry a conversation. Like we were joking and talking the whole time.
We had a music playlist going.
We had music
We were
playing. Like
dancing.
it was an enjoyable night over a fun game.
I think if you're
like problem solving.
if
right?
you're bringing new people into the game, I think this is a good game to bring new players into.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It
I
introduces
also felt
you.
like
them.
I was like doing okay until the end, and you're like, yeah, I'm competitive, and then the end, and you're like, no, I did terribly. I did not win. But it felt like it didn't feel like some games you play, and you're just like, it's the beginning, and you're like, I made one bad move, and I'm just like out of the game.
You're out of the game.
It didn't. It's not that kind of
And
game.
now you have
it
to
still
sit there
for
feels.
3
You
hours.
can still catch up.
Yeah, you can
Even
catch
if
up.
you can't.
The last 1-2 rounds, you really start to see. Okay, well,
I feel
don't know.
I feel in this game like if something went wrong for me, it seems a lot like it was my bad decision that did
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
agreed.
Because like I had 3 letters excess, and I was like, what? Like I either took the wrong letters or I took the wrong orders because it was like my letters and
They
orders
didn't
don't line up.
complement each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have too many U's or too many A's, and I was like, I don't have
Even
orders to fill them
where
out
I
with.
felt like I made those mistakes, it also felt like you were looking at other people and like what was happening when they were totaling up their things, and it's like, sure, I made that mistake, but I can also see where somebody else made that mistake where it felt like they're not taking advantage of things, so it doesn't feel as bad because you're like, okay, I missed this, but like so did other people.
Yeah.
So it
But
doesn't
not as
feel-
bad as you because you're last.
by 2.
Valid point.
2 to some.
So you're saying
Chris.
you're looking at. So you're saying you're watching me going, Chris is screwing this up. He should have been doing that. Is that what you're
Like,
saying?
and
That is what I'm saying.
as far as like,
Just something cool.
I think the last note I have to add to the game, not saying that the review is over. So I would recommend this game. I'd
Yeah.
say this is a game you should play.
I think this is a game for people who want to play something new, who are getting into games.
Yeah.
You know, this is a nice light game that
Like
if,
you've
you
jumped
know,
from Catan and you're like, what do I do next?
what else is out there? Like, you know, we play Monopoly and we want to try something new in the board game industry, but we don't know because there's so many games. Well, this is a nice light family game. Like, a lot of different
Yeah.
ages can play this game.
And this,
And the components
Definitely
are so
funny.
nice.
yes, components are nice. This gear thing, love this gear thing.
I do
love
too.
this gear spinny thing.
I would agree with
I
all
love the
that. I would
letters.
say if you're a hardcore, play a lot of games though, and just want games to kick some butt, this may not be.
Well, it's a lighter game. If you like
It's a-
heavier games,
No, that's
it's
what
not
I
a
mean.
heavy game.
No, that's what I mean. If you enjoy your heavy games like your Terraforming Mars, your Gaia projects, and you want those bigger games, your Zombie Side, where you just want to play long games over and over.
Zombie Side's not a really complicated game.
No, but you want to play it over and over again.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want to just go through the campaigns, go through that long game. This
Like
may
if
not
you're
be-
looking for like a long and like something's like I'm gonna sit down and play for
Invested-
2-3
yeah.
hours.
Hardcore. That's
You're
right.
not-
Well,
you're
this
not
is
gonna do
probably
that.
a 2-hour game.
No.
No.
This is
Yeah.
how we play.
This is
No.
how
No.
well, we take breaks.
I'd say on
We do.
average it's
You guys
like,
have a baby.
it's
Oh,
prob-
yeah, that's right.
it's probably like a 45.
45-minute game.
Yeah.
You're right,
And
you're right, you're right.
That's why I say if you enjoy those type games, this may not be your alley. Not saying it's still a good game.
It's-
to put
it's
in
large-
if that's
for
what
sure.
you're
If you want to
looking
bring
for.
people in,
Definitely a family-friendly game.
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
But I think, like, if you like those games, but you like lighter games too, you would still enjoy this.
If you like lighter games, but I'm saying if you're the hardcore and you want the bigger
Who
games,
only wants to play that.
Yeah.
Because I like the bigger games, but I also really enjoy this game.
Yeah, like I don't know many people that like. It's like I want to play, Gaia Project or what was the game?
Terraform Mars.
No, the one you taught us was like the rule that you taught us for 45
fun,
minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Feudum?
Feudum.
Oh yeah.
Feudum.
That was
so
a
like
big
Oh,
game.
so big.
like that Feudum's like that was excellent.
It was a
But
great game.
it's like those games are like those are heavy euros, right?
That's a whole
and like
day.
if you
Yes.
like on Mars, like that type of stuff, if you like a heavy euro, then this isn't
This is
your
probably
thing.
not for you.
Well, if that's all you like, but I don't know anybody who's just like
Yeah.
all I play is heavy euros. I was like, I don't play anything else. If all you're looking for is a heavy euro, this is not your
Yeah.
thing. But if you're
That's awesome.
if you're a flexible gamer that likes a little bit, because
Probably
for me,
is.
I like my heavies, and then I like to give my brain a break every once in a while.
This,
This
is
would
like
be
a
it.
good game night game. It's like we just want to get together for some fun with some friends. We
Mhm.
want to visit,
night.
but we want to play a game. And
We don't
this
wanna
seems
flip
like a good
tables.
game. You
Yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
to. It's just
Wait.
like a fun game. You don't have to get too invested. You can visit. You can have some conversation, but you can also play a game, be competitive.
And teach them
Good
very
game for
quickly.
that.
I'd say my last note is what this game. I might have mentioned it earlier. I don't remember. What I would like to see this game, I'd like to see an expansion. I don't know what that expansion would be, but I think an expansion.
More of these.
Yes.
You think more of
I think
these?
more of these.
I
As
feel
a
like
start. As
I
a
feel
Or
like-
maybe another row?
Yes.
some.
I would say that's a good
I
start.
don't know what it would
And
be,
a row.
but I feel like
Just more of
it would be.
everything, more options.
It would be like for me. It would be
Throwing
something like
More
that.
options to get points.
I think for me it would be like what Tuscany was to viticulture.
Absolutely.
Where viticulture, like I got bored of it after 4 plays, but Tuscany brought a whole bunch of life into it. I was like, I love this game. It's so much better Tuscany. Like, don't play without it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this game is on the verge of like I like it, and then as soon as you get an
Great
expansion, I was like, you gotta play with that expansion.
Yes.
Like I don't know what that's gonna be. Like maybe it's what
Yeah.
you said, but I feel like I'd love to see something like expansion.
They could definitely add more letters, add more.
Even something
graph.
that's
Or
comparable
it could be a completely different thing. Maybe it's like a different little side map where it's like you're distributing your print or whatever. Like you're distributing books, or it could be a whole little side map thing. Like who
But
knows?
I think if it was something that actually allowed you to compete with these.
No. Screw you in those things.
No.
That's all you want is those things.
No, I understand that, but I also got all of them, so it was hard to catch up.
Rub it in.
So there's no other way for you to catch up to me.
No.
Right? But if you had another option, then I think that at the end of the game, we're all counting points and we're like, oh my gosh, you have points, I have points. Yeah. Who's going to get it? Whereas we already knew I won.
If you had something else to kind of invest in, like I felt like I had a bunch of money at the end, but I didn't have anything to spend it on. So if I had some other kind of side quest that I could have spent it on to get more points, I feel like maybe that would have got me further in the game, where I felt like I had this money, but there was just nothing to do with it at the end of the game.
Because you get so many letters, and eventually letters get too expensive.
They just get too expensive, and like I could have gotten more orders, but I just didn't plan that far ahead, and I could have just done something else with it.
You do get to a point because, and if you don't know, the way the letters work is you pay. So if I have, like right now, I have 6, 7, 8, 9 letters. My next letter costs 9 coins. And then my next letter after that costs 10. So it gets really expensive. And you don't get that much money. No. Like, I do have enough to buy one more letter. But to fill in another order, I need at least 2. So I wasn't going to get that much money.
And I didn't have any other orders to fill. Like, I had all the letters I needed. And then it's like, well, if I filled this order, then I got another order. But it's like, but then I don't have anything to fill that order.
I think the thing is too, like when we got to these patron things, like Brittany was getting a lot of them, I was getting a lot of them, but it wasn't like because her attention was collecting these, she couldn't fill her orders. No, because her attention was collecting these, she could still fill her orders. So she could still do both. So it was like. It wasn't like she was doing this, so her focus was here, so she couldn't do this. No, she could still do both, and she was still doing both. So it's like the only way I can catch up to Brittany is if I'm going to try to get one of these and fill an order. It's not like I can be like, okay, if you're doing really well on this, I'm going to try to do really well on this and kind of beat you. Which you get games, again, I don't know why I keep comparing this to viticulture, maybe it's the aesthetics, because the game plays completely different. It's not a worker placement. But
it's very different. In
that game, if like you were filling a lot of orders, I'm like, well, I'm just going to sell a lot of grapes. You know what I mean? Like there was a different route for me to take. Where in this, I didn't feel like there was a different route for me to take. Like the order route, there's points to get there. But it's not like you're not going to get those on your path to getting these anyways.
Yeah, it just feels like there's only so many orders you can fill. Like, yes, you can fill some orders, and then you get your letters back once you fill that order, but you can only fill so many orders at once because the letters are so expensive. So you can take that route, but still, like you can only get so far.
All right, well, that's it. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, and I think on average, I recommend Gutenberg.
Yeah,
good and bad. We still like it.
Yep.
We just try to be as open as possible and cover all it. But I would recommend a Gutenberg. If you're looking for a new game to play, I'd say definitely check out Gutenberg.
It's a lot of fun.
So, good. Everybody's agreed?
Yep.
All right, great. All right, thank you guys very much. We will see you next week. And let us know in the comments below if you like this unfiltered review segment, because we plan on doing more of them, because they're easier to do. Isn't that what? And that's it. All right, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. I had a plan, and then I got up, and I don't know what's happening now.
All right, so we're
Let's
going to
do this thing. I'm going to lose so hard. You have so many orders.
Back, you're like 4 away from back. So
yeah, well, I'm gonna be way behind Brittany, but I'll be way past you guys.
You have 3.
Yeah, I'll be way past you guys, way behind Brittany.
So yeah, way in the back, you can show.
I'm not gonna win, but I'm gonna be so far ahead of you guys.
Yeah, because you guys are like losers. I would have lost, but you guys are losers.
Are so terrible.
Just the worst.
I so hate you so.
Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.